Hello and welcome back to Boxwood Avenue. Today I'm going to be talking to you about why, as an interior designer, I've stopped using the color Pure White by Sherwin-Williams. I love Sherwin-Williams paint, but I no longer specify Pure White. I actually had this paint color in my own home and in my brick and mortar shop when I had it, and it's not a color that I use anymore, and I'm going to tell you why and give you some great alternatives so you have confidence when choosing the perfect white paint color for your home. If this is your first time here, my name is Chloe. I'm an interior designer and owner of Boxwood Avenue. Boxwood Avenue is a lifestyle brand. I share everything from recipes to travel with an emphasis on intentional living. You can find me often in France, overseas, antiquing, and we serve clients all across the globe on design projects. As an interior designer and a blogger, I talk a lot about paint colors. So I've had to get very comfortable selecting white paint. And if you've read any of my blog posts about white paint, you know that when I first got started in design, I honestly couldn't have really cared less about white paint. I thought, oh my goodness, choose a white paint. It really doesn't matter that much. I thought the same thing about light fixtures too. And as I've become a better designer and had a much better, deeper understanding of white paint and design in general, I'm very opinionated now about white paint, and I understand why there are a million different articles and why people struggle so much with selecting the perfect white paint color. I've written a lot of blog posts about this, and today I'm going to be talking specifically about Pure White by Sherwin-Williams, which used to be one of my very favorite colors. And I think that in contemporary design, we see a lot of Pure White by Sherwin-Williams, we see a lot of Chantilly lace, we see a lot of these very stark white paint colors. And I think that it's very tempting to go with a stark white paint because it's very muted. There isn't a lot of warmth to it, and it's easy. It feels very safe. I think of this too like like white kitchen cabinets or gosh, I used to design all of our kitchens with white paint, and you see exteriors painted white, and there are so many beautiful colors that add so much depth to design. But I think that it can feel intimidating to choose a color. And same with white paint. It can feel a bit intimidating to choose a white paint that maybe has a little bit more saturation or warmth because you don't want it to feel yellow. You don't want it to feel green or pink. So today I'm going to be talking about more white paint colors that can feel safe, so you can choose them with confidence, to have a little bit more depth and are going to give you a little bit more character in your home, whether you have a contemporary style or traditional style. I'll share some of my favorites. When we talk about white paint colors, first we have to talk about the light and its effect on white paint. Of course, white is going to be reflecting all of the different colors in the space. And if you've watched my video about selecting the perfect white paint color, you know that if you have a lot of green outside, your white paint is going to be reflecting that green. Or if you live in the desert and there's a lot of warm tones, it's going to be reflecting that. So you have to first consider light and its reflection when you are thinking about pure white, especially, or Chantilly lace, these very, very stark colors. You have to understand that it's highly reflective, so it has a high reflective value, and it's going to be very, very bright and stark. Now, some people may say, perfect, that's exactly what I want, but I want to challenge you, and I want you to consider going with something that has a little bit more warmth. Even if your style is very contemporary or very clean, you can select a color that has a little bit more warmth or a little bit more body to it, and it's going to make all of your furniture stand out a bit more. And as a designer, I would never really choose pure white for a client. So I think that hopefully you can take that away and understand that all of that light reflecting, it's going to feel a bit stark. So let's talk about some additional colors to consider. I remember when I first got started in design, my friend Julie Blanner, I talk about her all the time. She was all about warm white paint colors. And I remember thinking, I don't really care for those warm whites. It's a little bit too traditional. And as I've gotten to be a better designer, now I really appreciate those warm whites so much more. And so I think if you are going for a more sophisticated look, go with a warmer white, even if your style's a bit cleaner, more contemporary. So if you're thinking, okay, well, Chloe, will you just tell us the colors? If your style is clean, contemporary, like that organic modern, I think that Swiss coffee at 70% is a great option for you, as well as alabaster. I think alabaster is a great color. Alabaster can pull a touch warm. So if you wanted to do alabaster at say 80%, if you have a lot of warm colors and that are going to be reflecting, you can bring alabaster down a little bit. But those are two colors that I find to be very, very safe, tried and true, that have a little bit more warmth. Swiss coffee is more traditional, and then alabaster is a little bit more contemporary. One of my very favorites is Old White by Farrow & Ball. And Old White isn't necessarily white. It's actually, you can see here behind me, it's more of a taupey color. And I understand that it might feel really scary to paint all your walls a taupey color, but I promise you it's going to look good. I also really like James White by Farrow & Ball. It's a beautiful color, and Wimborne White. I love Satin Slipper by Farrow & Ball. And then I also really like Gem by Portola Paints. Whenever I mention Farrow & Ball or Portola Paints, inevitably I get questions saying, oh, I don't have access to that paint color. You can have these colors color matched at the paint counter, and people are going to tell you, oh, it's not an exact match. They're right. It's not an exact match, but the color is very true. And I'm very discerning about white paint colors now. I find it to be okay. So don't let that sway you. In order to get Portola paints, you will need to order a sample. You'll take that down to the paint counter, and then they will color match it for you there. As a designer, I'm always thinking about the context of a space whenever we are choosing a white paint color, and it's important for you to do the same thing in your home. If you live in an apartment and you don't have a lot of natural light, maybe you have a south-facing room or a north-facing room, you'll really want to consider these things. A north-facing room is going to it's going to fall a little bit darker. So you may want to have slightly warmer, brighter shades. So that's maybe where you go at that 70%. If you have a south-facing room, you're going to get a lot of that natural light. So it's going to pull a little bit warmer. So maybe you want to go with a slightly cooler tone. In that case, I'd probably go with Gem by Portola Paints. It's a great color. If you have a lot of green outside, you want to go with something that has a slight pink hue to it, because that pink is going to balance out the green. So when I'm recommending white paint colors, whenever I do consultations with people, as we do consultations for anybody on Zoom, and it's really great, I was considering these things, like what is in the surrounding area, because I might recommend Gem to one person, but then I'm recommending alabaster to another person because we're considering the context. So there's never going to be the perfect white paint color for you that you can, I mean, sure, you could use it throughout all of your homes, but it's going to vary based on the room, based on the light and the shade, and really the context of the space. If you're considering picking a white paint color, I really encourage you to go watch the video about picking the perfect white paint color. I break it down in way more detail. Essentially, you really want to consider your design style. I have a free quiz if you want to take it. It's super fun. It takes less than 2 minutes, and I'm going to give you your exact design style, and then I recommend a white paint based on your design style. So if you have more traditional style or contemporary, it's really fun, very easy. I also have a paint guide you can check out. And like I said, lots of blog posts too, because I understand that picking the perfect paint color can feel daunting. It's expensive. You don't want to do it again. You want to get it right. So I hope you found this video really helpful in understanding why I really encourage you to consider something other than pure white or a stark white paint color, no matter your design style. I really think if you consider something that has a little bit more depth, you're going to have a more designer look, a more expensive look, and it's going to give you an overall better result. I've really noticed this as I've traveled more. Many of the spaces that I gravitate towards in Europe, they're not stark white. And in fact, there's a lot more color used overseas that I'm seeing. And it's really inspiring. So kitchens, rather than white cabinets, we're seeing blue or yellow or red. And it's really, really inspiring. And I think when done correctly, it can really elevate a space, taking it from something that's boring to over the top. I actually want to share an example. We were designing a kitchen for a client, and I actually was really happy with the design. I was feeling really inspired by it. And I let it sit for a little bit, and I went back to it, and I was with our senior designer. And I said, something's just not quite right with this kitchen. And she said, you know what, why don't we try changing the cabinet color? So we changed the cabinet color to blue, and instantly the kitchen went from being really pretty to something that I'm really proud of and exceptional. So I understand that it may feel safer to go with white kitchen cabinets or taupe kitchen cabinets, or just a stark white like pure white. But really, when you start to layer in color with a little bit of confidence, that's when you will see your space go from kind of that average level to feeling really designed and really exceptional. If you want to book a consultation with me, I love helping people take their spaces to the next level. I will put a link in the description below. You can check out our blog posts. They're totally free to read. boxwoodavenue.com. Be sure to follow on Instagram. I share a lot of travel inspiration and design inspiration there too. and I really hope that you found this video helpful.